Hi everyone, Austin with Sun Fun Kits. So today we kind of want to go over some comments that we keep getting regarding cell capacity and what is grade A versus grade B. I think one of the common sort of um, ideology, I guess, is cells must pass be significantly over capacity to be considered grade A. The cells that are not significantly over rated capacity, they are obviously grade B. And while I understand how that may seem, uh, you know, to identify them, that's not really the case. The primary reason why cells are certified versus cells that are not certified is their ability to hold voltage under load. That's like the blood pressure or the cholesterol or the blood sugar level of a cell. That's what they're judged on. Everything else is secondary. And capacity is important. But you're going to see in this, it's not always the primary reason behind this. So now we have a batch of around 1,000 cells. By the way, we do want to explain the newest 280Ks only have OCV3 and resistance value 3. So they have changed grading these a little bit versus the 304. But let's look at the capacity. So we got some 300s in this case, and you notice how they group them together in 6-piece cases. So they do that to kind of organize them. But you can sort of see, that we got 300s. And most people have been like, well, obviously those are grade A. They're testing way above the 280. So this is what would need to be. Well, it's not always the case. If we start going down, we now have cells in the 280s, 290s, and they try to group them together, but they're going, lower in value. And some are back to 300, but some, like I say, they will go down. Now, some people say, well, obviously the ones that are not 300, these are grade A minus. No, they're still grade A certified. It's just that uh, there's a variance. You can be as low as like 284, 285, and that's still certified. But the problem happens is when you assemble your battery and you put those 284, 285s in a BMS, you're going to lose 4 to 5 amp hours right off the bat simply because of losses that are happening through because it's running through a BMS. So you might only test at 280, you might only test at 278. And that does not mean that cell is bad. It just means it was tested at a lower capacity. Now, if you go back and look at the very bottom, you can see even in this batch of certified cells, we have almost a 15 amp hour variance. And we've actually seen it as high as 20 amp hours, where the top cells was 300, the lower cells were 284, 283. Well, not 280. I think the lowest we've ever seen is 284. And they're still all certified, but the perception that people have right now is like, unless you have these cells testing at 300 amp hours, they're just not good. And that's just not really the case. So that's kind of to show you, that even grade A can have variances between 15 to 20 amp hours for their tested capacity at 3.2 volts. Um, but now let's look at some of the 304s. So here's a small batch that we have for our international. And, you know, we actually told them tighten up our variance. Well, we can get 304s that are high as 324 amp hours, and some that are low as 300 and 10 amp hours tested. We try to tell them, hey, we try to tell Eve, hey, we need you to clamp down this. Try to keep all of our cells within 5 amp hours. The chemistry of the 304 is different than the chemistry of the 280K. All 280Ks will eventually come down to the 280 amp hour, 896 or 900 watt hour range. The 304s, they will behave like normal, like traditional chemistry. High in the beginning, as they age, they come down. But you can sort of see in here, they're closer, and the 304s don't really have as big of a variance as the 280Ks. And the reason the 280Ks have that big of a variance is because the chemistry settles down to 280. So EVE doesn't mind a big variance initially. They know when you put them in service, they're all going to come down to 280 very, very quickly. Where the 304s, they will take a little longer, but they don't have the lifespan. So you can sort of see in here, most of the cells are, between 319 to around 316. So pretty tight. Now, I want to look at another company that we are, and I apologize, most of these are Chinese characters, but you can kind of figure out what's going on. I know most people are going to want to look at this number, which is the capacity. So these are REPT cells, and we're going to be considering carrying these because it's another smaller company that's willing to work. It's another company that's willing to work with smaller vendors such as us. So normally they only work with car companies, but since they're smaller, this is an avenue that they can, and it's going to be a little better price than the EVE 280Ks. So it'll be priced right between what a grade B set of EVE 280Ks are going to be versus what certified is. So I think it's been pretty attractive. You're going to get it pretty good, pretty good value. But now this is a 2,243, set, and you can sort of see these are pretty tight. Now this doesn't always happen. These are all ranking at around 300s, and I know it's a little hard to see, but it's all sort of ranking around the 300s, and it has the same type of thing. So it's going to be pretty interesting. REPT says they're able to get it to where it's very, very tightly. They're actually saying their 280 cells behaves like the 304, where it will not settle as quickly to the rated capacity of 280. It's going to stay up there. Now, um, just like the EVE, you will see that they have a pallet ID, a case ID and a pallet ID. And I know I keep telling you that, but even if you go back, this is very important. This is what they file with the Ministry of Transportation, these case IDs and pallet IDs. It doesn't really matter who the manufacturer is, they're going to have the same. Okay. So that's one of the ways you identify this. And like, yes, again, even with the 304, so it doesn't matter if you're REPT, REPU, if you're EVE, if you're CADL, doesn't matter if you're BYD, they all have to follow the same rules. They all have to have the pallet IDs or the case IDs because that's what's filed with the Ministry of Transportation. So they know where these are going. Anyway, I just wanted to make this kind of video to kind of show you the sort of the differences between, the variance from the 280K and sort of the variances with the cells, and also introduce you to the REPT, which hopefully we'll have on our website soon. It is going to be sold as a 16 cell pack only, and it will be shipping directly from our international warehouse globally. So that should be available. We're resting with it by within a month or so, and it'll be very aggressively priced. I think you guys will like it. But anyway, that's it for me, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.